what's something your clients come to you over and over again that you have to be like, well, that's not part of what we do, or that's not part of our contract. I put that in a paragraph called scope, and it's none of these things are what we do.
So you add the point of what you don't do in it as well.
Yeah.
That's very smart.
Of course, it's and among other things, but we go ahead and hit the frequent flyers of what is something almost every client thinks you do
But you
that's
don't.
not part of it.
Smart. And then that's when you build the partnerships with those people that do it. So you have affiliate commissions.
It's out of scope if you look at the contract, but here's somebody I can send you to.
Mic drop.
Hey everyone, it's Tamara Thompson with Women Unlocking Wealth, and I'm here with my co-host Danielle Thompson.
Hey, everybody.
I'm super excited for our next guest. We just recently got connected and we're already just hitting it off camera. Sarah Gilliland is the founder of Rising Brand Legal, and I'm super excited for our conversation today. Thank you for joining us.
I'm already having so much fun. So I know
It's just like the first 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved what we were talking about a little bit off camera, but I'd like to kind of dive into some of that stuff. So one of the things you came in and I was like, oh, I love her jewelry and we love the nose ring. And, and then you're like, I got a sleeve tattoo and we're like, we have to see this. I think it's really important to in women in business, to be ourselves, right? Like Danielle and I are partners in life and business as well. And just being our authentic selves and just understanding that. And I think we have a similar story to you in some aspects. When we first started out, we didn't feel like we could always be ourselves. We were trying to attract people in certain things. And I think you have a similar story of when you started your first law firm or in an area that you were in that you just felt like you had to fit in. Can you share a little bit more about your backstory?
Yeah, I became a lawyer. And it's one of those, a lot of them are, when did you know you want to be a lawyer? And as long as I could remember elementary school.
You're like out of my mom's womb.
Teacher, and the feedback coming from the outside of you should be a lawyer. And I do know now that was not a compliment. It was, how do we shut this little girl up that argues about freaking everything? But I grew up very, very poor. So I didn't have other lawyers I was looking at I really didn't have that reflection to decide. So I was just kind of pulling from wherever I could I wanted to be a lawyer. The friends I had whose parents were lawyers, they could have very bougie things like Chick-fil-A at the mall. And so I could pay the bills. Other people are telling me this is what I should be. I can pay the bills. That's what I'm going to be. But it was very much taking the information from the outside on what does that look like? What does it mean? How do I be good at that? Mm-hmm. And in my first law firm that I was a co-owner, name was on the door, but we had some really high-level staff and I had a very high-level business partner. And I very much was answering to very high-level clients, and I was answering to everyone else about what I should be. And it really came down just to the micro of how I dressed, how I looked, how I talked. I had my tiny little college tattoo and
did you have a Band-Aid over it?
The temper tantrums that would be thrown if I accidentally didn't cover my tattoo one day. And so, and that's so vulnerable when it's something about the way you look and other people are telling you that's not okay, or something that you feel like is just fun about you. And the people that, pay the money make you feel like that's not okay. That's such a vulnerable, such a shame place that you go. So I spent many years just trying to conform to what I thought and the feedback I was getting on what everybody else wanted me to be. And I not even daring tap into who I really felt like I was. That's exhausting.
You tapped into burnout, basically.
Very much, very much. And I ended up with a full burnout moment, a sudden onset of Bell's palsy that I would have argued against anybody that I wasn't burnt out, that I wasn't stressed, that it wasn't any of that. But I feel like it was a very divine moment of when the vanity of it and how it's supposed to look and how it's supposed to present myself, if I had been knocked down in any other way, I would have just ignored it, but my face dropped. And that spiraled me into a lot of reflection that ultimately landed me owning a new firm and having a sleeve tattoo.
How did you transition from that to the next? Did you take some time for yourself to kind of reevaluate, or were you just like, I'm done? Like, how did you leave that and then be like, step right into this one? How long did it take you?
I was very also divinely carried through that, where in a mix of a couple of years had a unforeseen opportunity to sell that business, and unforeseen opportunity to move across the country. So really things fell in my lap as such a gift in my life to be able to have that reset, because I don't know that I would have been brave enough to just make that decision. But some really great opportunities that made it feel safe to make the decisions. And I did take a break. If you had met me in 2018 when I first moved here, I was retired at 35 or something.
Hey,
I was never going to be a lawyer again.
Oh my God.
I was not a lawyer. And then felt into just who I am, how I want to show up in the world. And I still had this expertise. I still had this education, and the ability to really serve and do it my way.
It's interesting because I can relate so much. I come from a lower middle class family. I would see girls going and they're shopping with their families, and I would be at sporting events because I was very athletic, and I would be with the families, and they were all buying all these bags, and I literally couldn't buy anything. It felt so horrible that I just couldn't buy just one item. Yeah. And so the whole idea of Women Unlocking Wealth is there's opportunities for self-development, for spirituality, being divinely guided, you said several times. And that's how I found spirituality, was through entrepreneurship. And being able to I grew up Catholic, and my uncle is a Catholic priest, but at the same time I still believe in source. I believe in God. I believe in a lot of things. But the thing is I needed the signs of spirit, or whatever you want to call it, to be able to continue on this path of entrepreneurship. Because I have a story in the beginning with so I worked as an operations manager in corporate. So I worked with this company for 8 years before we started our company together. And I literally said, okay, you know what? If you want me to go on this path of entrepreneurship, show me an owl. Because at that time, I never saw owls, ever. And I was like, just show me an owl. I was like, or if I should stay in corporate, show me a caterpillar. And I literally, I know. And so the next day, I literally went and looked everywhere for caterpillars. I was intentionally trying to find a caterpillar.
Just trying to get out of it.
It's such a safer bet to have a corporate salary and stay in that position. Yeah.
I'll argue with you.
Yeah. You can argue with me. That's what you do. That's your skill set. So your personality type. Actually, your personality type is probably fighter. She's a fighter. I'm a flighter. So I will go out of the room if I feel conflict.
Get back here and talk to me right now.
I would be curious to know. Do you fight in your relationships, or do you fight in because with your lawyer thing? I'll tell the rest of my story.
Let me. Yeah.
Because it probably depends on the scenario.
I
right?
do with my husband, no, we don't fight. We have a really good balance. But I'm thinking a couple of my closest friends that would be don't you freaking try to say you don't fight.
Yeah. Yes. No, I don't see fighting as a negative thing. I think you're just handling conflict head on.
Very direct.
That's actually
direct communication factor.
Yeah.
You walk out of the room and I'm come back and talk. You need to talk it out right now.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? That kind of
I don't see fighting as a negative thing at all. I see it as more women, you're fighting for what you want in life, you're going after your passions. It's such a really admirable thing. Both of you,
I am
very much
face it head on. Let's acknowledge everything that's on the table. Let's
I love that. Okay, so anyway, let's just get back to this.
Let's go back to the owls
and caterpillars.
Yeah, the owls and caterpillars. So I was looking
under rocks for owls, and they're not going to be there.
Well, but this is funny though. So when she did that, I was actually up in Sedona with my mom, And I saw caterpillars with my mom right after that. And I was like, I'm not going back to corporate.
that had nothing to do with you. But
the whole thing is you weren't there, though, to see the caterpillar.
Yeah.
I did.
But I didn't see the caterpillars, but I get back because at the time I was living in an apartment. And I literally went in to go to my front door, and the neighbor had an owl statue with angel wings.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Owls don't even need angel wings.
Right?
They have their own.
Right? Right. And so then from there, right after that happened, owls start trending in all the clothing lines, on mugs, like everywhere. And I was like, okay, this is my path. I'm going to go after it.
Candles.
So yeah, I mean, like just feeling divinely guided and going after it is just such
and you still see owls all the time.
Yeah.
Even we even have one that lives in our backyard.
Oh, so there was that movie Naked Gun.
Yes, just came out last week. Yeah, tell the story.
I'm not going to give away
just
the
that
whole
one
thing.
piece.
But he said there was a part of the script where it was like his dad had passed, and he was like, "Dad, give me a sign, specifically of an owl." And literally, like the owl came in and like saved the day. Like it was just like this crazy thing. But I was like, that is so weird that I'm still getting these owl signs. And I was like, how does that work? But anyway, that is off tangent.
We see owls all the time. It's like, it's obviously entrepreneurial path was meant to be for her and I. I wouldn't go back anyway to any corporation side. It's been many, many years.
Well, at this point, we can't if we wanted to. The resume's burned.
Yeah, exactly.
They would look at it and be like, "You're a CEO for how many years?" Like you just, I mean,
they're like, "No, thank you."
Yeah. No, I wouldn't even want to go that path.
But I feel like having that sign that comes back to you over and over again
just reminds you.
Entrepreneurship will always have its own seasons of hard. I think we don't ever arrive because the nature of it, we're always creating, we're always innovating, we're always stepping into something new with it, and so. It's not a one and done sign.
Exactly.
You kind of need that reminder of, okay, this is still the right thing for me.
Exactly.
Well, and then us truly finding our own authentic path and being able to truly be our own selves within our own business is you start to attract more of what you want to attract versus being unhappy in something, trying to play a role that you feel like this is how I should act to this client or whatnot. So like we're very open with who we are authentically. And I'm sure you're the same. At this point, it's probably attracting more of the people that you want to work with.
It is. And I think it's a muscle that you build and you constantly have to work on. And if you catch yourself slipping back into doing what you think you should do and doing what you think other people want from you, then you notice those clients that you don't really want to work with. And saying no to people is hard. Saying no to money is freaking hard. That is not.
I think a lot of people don't have that trait. I know I've said no to things and people.
There was a season we fired like 10 of our highest paying clients. And this was like 3 years ago.
She got mad at me.
And I told our accountant, I literally told our accountant, I was like, listen, Angela, like this is a scenario because like they were taking up a lot of our time, our team's time.
There weren't boundaries set. There was a reset that needed to be placed within, and I wanted to get her out of some of the fulfillment. So these people were sucking her energy, her time. They were texting her. They were calling her at 9 p.m. I'm like, they shouldn't have your phone number.
Yeah.
There was things that came up, people writing on Christmas. I'm like, this is a no.
But here's the thing. It's like my money attachment growing up poor. I did not want to give it up. I actually fought. I told our accountant, I told her, I said, we're going to have a big dip in revenue and it's going to reflect in our annual income, our business income.
But it also is reflecting in happiness.
Yeah.
But you were much happier
Actually, the next year, I didn't have any phone calls. None, because we hired somebody to do all our phone calls. And then we rebuilt a more systemized package that this is exactly what you get. If you ask for more, because we're service-based, we do get that so much that we have a contract with the clients. Like, this is a little bit outside of our scope of work. Or if you'd like this included in the package, this is the rate for it.
Yeah.
So now I feel like in the short term, I was pissed. I was not happy. But long term, we've been able to scale that model a lot faster. So it made a lot of sense to do.
And your happiness is
And I
what was
lost
important to
70
me.
pounds after that. Like we focus on
Same.
our health
Amazing
and
when
weight
just
loss.
like
We both lost,
you
70
can
pounds.
breathe and you can, your cortisol levels can
Yeah.
go down and you can actually get good
You can
sleep.
Yeah.
And
The important
it's
stuff.
not-
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned that. I'm going to nerd out lawyer for like half a second
Yeah, go for it.
because that's one question when I'm writing contracts for my clients. That's one question that they don't expect from me, that I say, what's something your clients come to over and over again that you have to be like, well, that's not part of what we do, or that's not part of our contract, or you find yourself begrudgingly doing stuff that's outside of the scope. Like, give me the list.
Ask that kind of stuff.
And I put that in a paragraph called scope, and it's none of these things are what we do.
So you add the point of what you don't do in it as well.
Yeah.
That's very smart.
Yeah. Or I guess out of scope. Yeah.
Okay.
And just really, and of course it's and among other things, but we go ahead and hit the frequent flyers of what is something almost every client thinks you do that's
don't.
not part of it.
Smart. And then that's when you build the partnerships with those people that do it. So you have affiliate commissions.
It's out of scope if you look at the contract, but here's somebody I can send you to.
Mic drop.
Oh, yeah.
Very good. I actually really like the idea of having everything laid out, like the contracts. Like I'm very big on that. I think it's really important. And there's a lot of people that talk about just doing handshake deals. What do you have to say about that?
I get it. And especially being from the South, because people would attach integrity to a handshake deal and lack of integrity to thinking that you want things in writing. And sort of the conversation I would have over and over again is handshake deals worked when it was, you're going to do this one thing, I'm going to do this one thing, that'll be over and we're done. It's today's, I walk into Rad and Ray and buy this necklace. I don't need a contract with Rad and Ray to buy the necklace.
Right.
Of course, I'm sure her receipt has some return terms and everything.
Return policy.
But that's what handshake deals were built on. Now our business relationships are just naturally more complicated. There are just more things that go into it. And what I want everyone to understand, I kind of have a quip that I'm like, contracts save friendships.
Yes.
So when you're like, well, it's my friend, it's my family member, I don't want to ask him for a contract. Contracts save friendships because when there is a contract conflict, almost never is anyone actually the asshole. Like truly, it's just two people coming from different experiences and different expectations and bringing those experiences and expectations to the table, but never communicating about them. So now how dare you do this and how dare you not do this? Nobody's the jerk there, but they're really upset with each other because their expectations weren't aligned. Where if we can get a plain language,
or even refer back to it if somebody has a question or a concern, be like, but then you can also at that point be like, you know what, we'd be happy to help you with this or something. Like you decide, like it's not in the contract, but we can help with this part or we can introduce you to
and
this
also
side.
like if you think of corporations too, like some of them have high turnover. So you're getting other marketing directors coming in. They need to understand. They need to understand the terms of the agreement with all the vendors that they're working with. So it's so
important to ask for more too.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where I really, really pride myself in plain language contracts. The herewith thou shall. This is not the Old Testament. We don't need 50 pages and we don't need ancient language.
You speak our language.
I want everyone in most business dealings, I want everyone to look at these 4 or 5 pages and be so crystal clear on what's expected that conflict never happens. We're not saying, I'll see you in court and prove it in the contract. We're not going, I don't want to go to court. So I want nobody in court. I want us all to be able to be like, hey, but if you remember, if you look at this part of the contract and it's not a bunch of legalese, it's not a bunch of complicated language, any one of us can look at it and be like, oh yeah, I see this is what the expectation was.
That makes sense. We itemize all of our services so they understand exactly what they're getting.
It's all bullet pointed, the scope and deliverables, exactly what we do on that side. But I did like your point of adding what we don't do.
I love adding a out of scope. But when it comes full circle to your question, I think people have an emotional or an integrity level thought of, well, if I'm asking for a contract, it means I don't trust them or they shouldn't trust me or I'm trying to get something past them. And I think you really have to just wash all that off, that just our business dealings and all of our expectations, experiences are just too complicated. Both people aren't shaking their hand over the same thing.
And I don't think that we ever have anybody that is like, oh, you guys do contracts. But I did have a conversation with a couple of gentlemen a couple of weeks ago. So it was interesting because we build a lot of strong relationships with people. We're referral partners. We have referral contracts. We have all sorts of stuff. So people understand what they do. Like when they refer someone, this is what we're able to provide back. Exactly. And so like everybody knows that works with us or is a power partner. And I got on this call with these two incredibly smart gentlemen, but the way that they both do business is because they want to curate these experiences that are just small with like maybe a group of like 20 people, right? And so they both were in this call and I was the only one on the call that was like, I don't agree with this. Like I literally was like, I'm like, we have all contracts. I'm like, we work with, hundreds of people. Like, you can't just be like, it's a handshake. But they both were like, yeah, I just believe in handshakes and integrity. And I was like, and I just was the only person in the call that was like, in this scenario, I'm like, well, we work with more than 20 people at a capacity. We have tons of team members that we work with as well. And people need to understand as a service versus maybe they're doing something with like consulting or something like, handshake or whatnot. So I see the point of that, but I see how strong contracts in our belief is a much needed thing always in any scenario. So that we're covering that relationship.
What do you think about people that you'll send a contract to and their compliance team provides extra lines in it? Like, is that something that we should be sending to you to review and make sure that it's okay for both parties?
Yeah, because we work with like institutes and universities and they always come back to add something else in and we're just always like, we're like, what does this look like? But it's like if this is not accepted, they might not accept the contract for this large deal, especially with the corporation side. So how do you handle that? I always
like to look at those because one word really can change everything, or one short little sentence. Just a recent example right off the top of my head is a client of mine works with a lot of professional services. So every single one of them want her to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Of course. We expect that. She has her NDA that I provided, but a lot of times they want theirs. No big deal. But one of them, or several of them rather, have had one little line that is called liquidated damages, which, to try not nerd out too much, if you sue somebody over a contract, you also have to prove how many dollars they harmed you. That's your damages. So if you break a contract with me, it doesn't do me any good to sue you if I wasn't actually financially harmed by it, if I can't prove any financial harm.
Interesting.
That's just super high level. Of course, every lawyer is going to be like, yeah, but I know. I know.
It's a sense of knowing.
But that's just super high level. Liquidated damages means it doesn't matter if I got financially harmed or not. You break this agreement, you owe me X dollars, period. And it was something to the tune of $500,000.
Wow. See, that one word.
And so that one little term that I was just like, obviously you don't plan on disclosing, you don't plan on breaching this, but if there's an argument about it, do you want to sign up for bankruptcy? So it's those kind of things, those little bitty terms that I'm like, let's look at them. And then you decide. You decide, okay, is this an absolute no-go? Is it worth it? Or is the risk worth it to me? I know they're not going to accept the contract without it. And then it's just a business decision. As a lawyer, I don't want to make the decision. I want you to understand the risk.
What's the most common thing? If you could talk to women in business, because that's the majority of the people that are watching this show, like if you could tell them like their top 3 things to look out for on the law side, what would those be right now?
Wow. You didn't even give this to me to prepare for.
I'm like, top one? I don't know. What's one thing? Because I'm like, well, I'm already learning a bunch of stuff on the contract.
I mean, we already talked about the contract, so that could be number 1.
Yeah. What about trademarks?
I'm actually going to bump contracts to number 2 and say intellectual property number 1. And here's something super sucky. When somebody steals your intellectual property, that could be the name of your business or your services or your systems and modalities. It's almost always somebody in your sphere. And that feels like crap. You don't ever want to expect somebody else. And sometimes it comes from this innocent ignorance of they think, oh, well, Sarah's firm is Rising Brand Legal. Maybe I could name my firm the Rising Brands and put an S at the end, and that's different enough. And it really isn't in intellectual property world. In trademark world, if it's confusingly similar, it's too close.
Yeah.
But most of my clients that we've had to send cease and desist letters, we've had to rush trademark filings. It's been somebody in their sphere that says, I like what you're doing. I'm copying you.
That's rough.
It's like your root canal or your dental cleaning. Preventative
teeth whitening
is so much teeth whitening. Your whitening strips are so much less expensive than your dental surgery. Dentists are going to get mad at me too. It has nothing to do with each other. Your preventative is so much easier and so much more affordable. And I know legal's not the fun, sexy stuff. I know it's not as fun as hiring the graphic designer and getting your website up and doing your SEO. That stuff's sexy and fun, and it is important. But that's the sexy fun check to write, or nobody's writing checks. Credit card invoice to pay. The legal invoice is not. But why are you sort of make that? However, the legal dollars I know aren't the fun, sexy money to spend in business.
Yeah.
But it's way less fun and way less sexy to have to fix a legal problem. That can just get exponential. And so trademarks, contracts, top three. I'm going to piggyback the contracts and say, get brave and read your contracts. Just.
I'm going to go home right after this and
actually read
the contract.
Don't just be like, I'm sure it's fine. It looks legal. That's the most common thing I hear is, it looks legal. Oh, I bet it is.
Do you think majority of people should just send, like, let's say we're working with you, we'd be like, hey, we should always send it to you to review anytime, of course, like on any contract we sign.
Yes, and I realize that's not practical for all businesses.
Yeah.
So I would say, truly just give it a once over yourself. And if there's anything in there that you're like, I actually don't know what this means to me. I don't understand what this means in my business. Have that reviewed by a lawyer.
Yeah. And also like with corporate contracts. So like when we started working with corporations, they started using Net 90. I'm like, what the hell is Net 90? I have no idea. And so we signed the contract and we're like, wait, why haven't we gotten paid yet? 3 months later. And so now we know that. But I mean, there's just different terminology that it's great to have a lawyer or attorney look over. And I also was thinking about ChatGPT. There's a lot of freaking people that are just trying to get contracts from ChatGPT. And here's why you shouldn't. Please tell me.
I don't hate AI as much as people want me to.
Okay.
I actually love it a little bit.
Okay.
And also, it's kind of that age-old garbage in, garbage out. If I use AI, now I have some lawyer-specific AI tools, but let's just say I'm going to use ChatGPT to write a contract. My prompt is probably going to take me 30 minutes to an hour to write.
Okay. There's a difference.
I know what I'm telling it
exactly
to look for, to address.
All the details.
If I say, write me an independent contractor agreement, and I don't know all of those details to tell it, it's going to give me a solid D- level independent. And looks legal, sure is, but there's so many subject matters that you're not covering that will land in conflict. And so that's the problem with it. Now, here's where I don't hate AI. If you have that corporate contract, I've got to sign this. This is going to mean everything for me paying the bills this month. I don't have the money to hire an attorney to read this over for me, but I've got to know, is it going to be 3? I don't know what Net 90 means. I don't know what this means to me.
Yeah.
Do not plug that whole contract into ChatGPT and say, review this for me. It can't do it. It will review the first 2 or 3 paragraphs really well. And I test this constantly.
Wow.
Because it's developing constantly and I want to know its capabilities. It'll do a really good job on paragraph 1 or 2 and then it gets lazy. And then it really truly does get lazy. And it can't read it. I'll have to look up again. I asked it, why are you bad at this? And it explained to me, it said, you're right, I am bad at this.
Wow.
And here's why. But essentially it said something to the effect.
You asked.
I was like, why do you suck? Why are you getting lazy? Why? Essentially it said, it's really good at the start. And then like say you have a 5-page contract, it just kind of compresses it all together and it's not capable of reading it systematically. It just takes it all together. So if you have terms that say, you have 90 days to do this unless XYZ happens, it'll tell you that says, only if XYZ happens, then there's 90 days. It'll read it opposite because it can't distinguish it that way. But if you have a contract like that, can't afford a lawyer, I don't know what to do, you can plug in paragraph by paragraph, just one at a time, and say, this is the relationship. This is what I need out of it. This is a high level of what work we're doing together. What does this term mean to me? And if you've done a really good job, if you really write a few paragraphs explaining to ChatGPT the business relationship, it does a solid B+ job on telling you what this one term means, one term at a time. It doesn't replace a lawyer. But if you're in a bind, I don't hate it for that. And it, like I said, it does a solid B+ job, which is better than a lot of lawyers did in law school.
Well, we're gonna have to have you come back for a part 2 on this side because I love where we're going with this conversation on that side. So, where can people learn more about you, follow you on social media? If they were to I need to work with Sarah, how could they?
I want to hear more about the ChatGPT.
Exactly.
Instagram's a great hub for me. I am a millennial through and through that way. As many people tell me, TikTok's a space. Instagram's where it's at for me.
Yeah, I love Instagram too.
At The Lawyer Sarah and at The Legal Shop are my 2 hubs, but definitely at The Lawyer Sarah. That bio link will take you to Rising Brand Legal. It'll take you to The Legal Shop. And I post all of this kind of conversation.
I love that. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining
Can we talk
us.
for 3 more hours?
I know, right?
You can see
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And those of you that are watching, be sure to subscribe, ring the bell, leave us a review on Apple and Spotify, and we'll see you in the next episode.